Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I'm your host, Joe Zollo. Josh is mad at me because I played the intro video before anything. It's a fun new feature.
It is. Let us have our fun.
Yeah.
SEO be damned.
God. This man's an absolute dictator here.
He is.
Yeah, that's what I am, a dictator.
Emphasis on the dick. Much less emphasis on the tater.
Yeah.
Just let's have fun. It's a cool new feature. They said, hey, here's an intro video that you can put
It's better with recorded videos, not live videos.
Well, here we are now. And we're going to continue, and we're going to have a great show. We have a great time. Everybody's going to smile and laugh. Okay?
I'm going to make a video of me doing an intro and just use that as the intro video.
Sure. It's fine. I don't care.
Whoa. Jamie, shots fired at me already? If it makes you feel better, I'm probably jinxing him. So it works out real well.
This is true. This is true.
I actually did go with, true who I think will be upsides this week.
I was wondering how you were going to do it. Okay.
Yeah. Honestly, I looked at the team I was playing against, and I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't say I'm like too
You're going to do
worried.
shitty on their own.
Yeah, so it's fine. It's all right, Jamie. I also am not a fan of Kyren Williams, but he's playing well, so we'll see how it goes. You know what I'm not a fan of? Gator. Yes, it's a Buc-ee's onesie. I simply put it there so people wouldn't fucking ask the question. Okay? This was $15 at Buc-ee's. It is the greatest investment I have ever made in my life.
I'm not against it.
Yeah. Mostly because I didn't invest in NVIDIA 5 years ago when I was like, hey, I bought them for my graphics processing card and maybe I should invest in them. It was $100 a share. I would have made at least $5,000 to $6,000 at this point. So
I researched Bitcoin for a friend when it was $2 a coin.
You should have,
but had no idea what the fuck it was or understood it. So that
bought it.
I talk about that to this day as my largest regret. So.
Well, that's tough. You know what my largest regret is? Playing fantasy football this season.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was my largest regret until 2024.
Yeah.
That's not true.
So
it's still my largest regret.
I now have a rule. Nobody questionable that plays at 4 Sunday night or Monday night will ever play. They will.
You now have a rule. You've been on a show with somebody who's been preaching nobody questionable for 3 years now.
Ryan, here's the thing. I am okay with the Q tag when I know that they're playing. I'm okay with that. But I have been burned twice this season. Once by Christian McCaffrey in week 1 with the questionable tag on Monday night. I'm sorry, Kyle Shanahan. The man hasn't even sniffed a football field, but he was questionable week 1.
Yeah,
okay.
He was ready to go.
Yeah, so fuck you. Second off, James Cook, what the hell, dude? I thought this was nice and light, nice and easy. So no Q tags at all. I will happily play the 7th round running back that is 16th on the depth chart. I don't care. I'm not playing a guy with a Q tag, so that's my thing. Finally, the Jets have traded for DeVonta Adams, so that's huge, big time. What does that mean? Nothing. They're still going to finish 3rd or, probably 2nd in the division with how things are going in the AFC East. They're not making the playoffs. That's not happening. The conditional 3rd rounder could be a 2nd round to the Jets, or to Vegas, excuse me. And he was listed as a full participant in Wednesday's practice. The hamstring magically totally fine.
Love how I put that in quotes.
Yeah, absolutely fine. Just magically healed. And on the same day, what felt like in the same hour, the Buffalo Bills traded for Amari Cooper. Would you argue that the Bills just got a little better than the Jets? Because the Jets are a fucking mess right now, and the Bills aren't. So, Cooper to the Bills for a 3rd and a 7th. And the Bills still get a 6th.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all
it feels disrespectful.
The Browns got more for Cooper than they paid for him.
Yeah, he was basically making the bare minimum this year.
Yeah.
Because they restructured his contract in the offseason.
Oh, I meant they paid for him from the Cowboys. Like, they got more back in this deal than what they gave up. So, not the worst move ever for Cleveland, which is
it? It's not. Okay. Sure. Cam Akers traded to the Vikings, 2nd time's a charm. Chris Olave is out Thursday night, and Rashid Shaheed is out Thursday night. He'll have surgery on his meniscus, so he'll be out for, I would imagine, at least short-term IR.
once
I
they
think
get
it's
in there.
kind of similar with the surgery that JJ McCarthy had. Like with the meniscus, they need to kind of go in and explore whether it's a trim or a complete fix. And
That's
if it's
exactly
a
what they
trim,
said.
it's only 2 to 6 weeks or whatever. So
Yep. Pat Surtain also ruled out. So who the hell knows? It's Thursday night. Who knows? Taysom Hill is doubtful for Thursday. Nick Chubb is a full participant, and it looks like he's playing. Just dropped a Players Tribune article, so I imagine he was waiting until the week he knew he was going to play to drop that article. Jonathan Brooks limited in his first practice off the PUP list. TJ Hawkinson limited. Najee Harris DNP. Mason limited. Mike Williams DNP for personal reasons, also known as bruised ego from his quarterback. Also known as quarterback slashed his tire so he couldn't get to the practice facility. Also known as could have been stabbed in the cave that Aaron Rodgers took him to say, hey, buddy, we need a darkness retreat together. Yeah. Also known as Mike Williams is bad. Bijan Robinson, rest, did not practice. That one's fine. Malik Neighbors, concussion. He's limited. Hopefully should be back this week. The Jets worked out 3 kickers today. Greg Zuerlein is not good at the sport of football and at the sport of kicking. Devon Achane, concussion, full participant. He should be good to go. Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne, hamstring injuries, both limited overseas in London. Cooper Kupp did individual drills on Wednesday. Jonathan Taylor, DNP. Devin Singletary, limited. Drake May, full participant, but went in for an MRI after practice today on his knee. So that's fun. We can't have anything nice.
I was just going to say, the Patriots
we can't have anything nice.
Things.
We can't have anything nice. Tom Brady left.
You know who?
Ryan, let me get there.
Okay.
I was going to get there.
Okay.
I was going to get there. God. And if you want something nice, geez, Ryan. TrophySmack.com/WOFF. Or if you want something ugly that you need to give to a loser, I think those are there too. If you want something really pretty to make yourself feel good, you can get that. All those things, TrophySmack.com/WOFF. Teams on a bye this week. Cowboys, talk about a team that needs a bye.
Yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys would be the epitome of a team that needs a bye. And the Chicago Bears coming off of their Revolutionary War style curb stomping over in London of the Jacksonville Jaguars. That was, I will admit, I always say London variable, you have no idea. Shout out Caleb Williams for absolutely wrecking the Jacksonville Jaguars and giving me so much hope this week that Drake May will do the same thing. But that was an ugly game. If they lose this game, is Doug Peterson, does he land in Jacksonville with a job?
No. Does he take the same flight home with the rest of the team?
Does Nick Sirianni get fired at any point this season?
Probably after the season.
Did you see he caught a bunch of shit for bringing his kid to the press conference when he knew he was going to get some tough questions? They said children are not shields.
Yeah, no. That he's digging his own grave in Philly right now. Like the rah-rah act was great the first year, 2 years, whatever. It's souring really quick, especially when you're jawing with your own fans. Like, come on.
I'd say, but Josh, you also you were kind of over it to begin with and kind of said that you didn't think it was going to work. And then it starts to work a lot less when you guys lose your best coordinators. And so, yeah, it's.
Well, not even like lose your best coordinators. Like, yeah, I mean, obviously those guys went on for different jobs. Like he brought in good coordinators like Kellen Moore. The offense, when it's working, it works really well. Kind of fell on its face last year with Los Angeles Chargers because, they had so many injuries. This year, we've had a lot of injuries. AJ Brown's only played 2 games. DeVonta Smith's only played 4. Dallas Goedert getting knocked out. They have no reliable wide receiver 3. Again, more injuries on the offensive side of the football. But the defense is what's been the problem. They can't stop anybody. But it was good to see Vic Fangio actually making some adjustments in the second half last week against Cleveland. He's not very well known for doing that. So maybe there's hope.
The fact that the Eagles squeaked away with a win against Cleveland should
That's what I'm saying. That's fucking embarrassing.
Yep, should be enough to fire him. Now, there's 100 things that they should have been fired for beforehand, but the fact he still has a job. This is the same guy who opened his first ever press conference with the Eagles comparing a blooming flower, I believe, was one of his first analogies. It was one of the most made fun of analogies from a first press conference ever. Right then and there, we should have known how bad it was. Not getting any better. Josh, your picks. Welcome back to the show. You have Tony Pollard, top 10 against the Bills. Brock Bowers is the overall tight end one this week against the Rams. And Lamar Jackson, 20-plus fantasy points in Tampa Bay on another Monday night doubleheader. Oh, no. Did my computer just crash?
Sounds like it. Your screen froze.
Did my computer just crash? If you can still hear me, please let me know.
I hear you.
Okay, huge. This has been something fun.
Just let me know who I need to talk about, Joe, and then you can figure it out.
Well, I want you to discuss Brock Bowers because I believe that one is the most outlandish of them saying he will be the one, especially with I would say up and down offensive and overall situation.
I mean, sure, like the quarterback situation sucks, but we saw even this past week without literally any wide receivers to throw to, they peppered him the football. 9 catches, 71 yards. Like, they're going to get him the football. Now you trade Adams, you likely get Jacoby Myers back. Okay, cool. He's still going to be the first option in this offense, in my opinion. You go against the Rams, who their secondary isn't all that great, but they've actually done pretty well against wide receiver ones. So that tells me that Jacoby Myers kind of gets taken out of the equation here. So now it's all Brock Bowers. Well, good news. The Rams, not exactly great against the tight end. They've allowed the second most so far to tight ends, but that has largely been due to allowing touchdown catches. They've allowed 4 total TDs, one of them actually being a rushing touchdown, 2 tight ends through 5 games. So if there's upside here for Brock Bowers, he gets into the end zone because we know he's going to get targets, he's going to get receptions, and he's going to get yards. So why can't he be the overall tight end one? I was waffling between Bowers and George Kittle here because Kansas City also gives up a lot to tight ends. So, but I wanted to do something that was a little bit more daring than just, Brock Bowers will be a top 3 tight end. We know he's a top 3 tight end. So let's go a little bit bolder. Let's go a little bit bigger. I've got him as the overall tight end one for this week.
I joined at the perfect time. My computer has decided to crash on me just multiple times throughout the previous days. So I
wanted Joe to just be like, I agree with everything you said, Josh.
Hey, I have Brock Bowers in 2 leagues. So, yes, I agree.
I would have loved if you would have got it and been like, that last point, man. You just weren't here at all because most of our people watch us on YouTube, but anybody with a pod like listening to us has no idea that Joe just froze and disappeared for Josh's entire diatribe.
Guys, I don't know what you want from me. I'm trying to figure out my issues with my computer. We're gonna get there. We're gonna figure it out.
Oh, that's all right. Mine completely crashed in the middle of the stream yesterday.
It literally just freezes. I can still hear things. It just fully freezes. Ryan, goose egg last week. Welcome to the club.
I'm used to it at this point.
How is it I have the best record on both sides when it comes to this? This never happens. Josh? That's how I know fantasy football is fucked up.
To be fair, last year I had the worst record on both sides. Last year I got way crazier with my picks than you guys. You guys have caught up to me this year with picking overall tight end ones and shit like that. So I feel good that we all suck. I do want to point out before we get to my 2 touchdown special, they've been a great play every week this season. Just not a 2 touchdown play.
You had a lot of 2 touchdown specials you could have chose from last week, and you picked none of them.
Oh, yeah. Jay pointed out on Monday that I managed to pick the only guy who didn't score 2 touchdowns.
Literally. You had 2 options in the London game to go to. Crazy. Yeah. But this week you have Drake May, 20-plus fantasy points against Jacksonville in London. ARSB top 5 against Minnesota, and the 2 tutty goes to everyone's favorite, Kyren Williams.
Yeah. I don't understand the hate. I love this kid. I liked him coming out of college, so this has been a bandwagon I've rode this entire time. But the fact of the matter is, Williams, David Montgomery, and Derrick Henry are the best touchdown scorers in the NFL right now. He's tied for second in the league at touchdowns. He's already had his week off. The other guys haven't. He has 7 this season in 5 games, and Las Vegas has allowed 1 running back touchdown in 5 of 6 games this year, and actually both running backs for Carolina scored. So there's that 2 touchdown kind of vibe going on there where Carolina might split carries The Rams don't believe in splitting carries. The Rams are Williams. And that's kind of what I'm going on here is I do think this is going to be a good game for them. The Raiders are a mess, as Josh pointed out on the other side of things. They have Brock Bowers and not much else. And while they can get after a quarterback, they actually haven't done it that well this year, but they haven't stopped the running back either. So this is one where I'm picking on the team that's falling apart before our very eyes. And I think Williams, I think he's going to score one early, and I think he'll probably score one late.
I thought Kyren Williams was going to have a good year because the Rams' offensive line was bad and all these different things.
They've been hit with a lot of injuries too, though.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's still scoring touchdowns.
They're on like their 11th starting offensive lineman or some shit like that.
Hey, the Patriots are on like their 26th, so let's not give too much weeping and anything to the Rams. But yeah, I mean, he's run behind virtually no offensive line this whole season.
Well, and he has a streak going. There's a few people who have this streak, but I think Williams has scored in 8 straight games at this point.
He has. He's done a pretty nice run for himself. All right, this week for our loyal listeners, I will be actually giving you upside picks this week. Last week was a full-on I'm trying to jinx these people, and I went 1-2, so that means I did pretty well.
It was actually a full-on Joe meltdown, but yes, you did jinx them. So.
Yeah, I did my job that I needed to. Now, granted, guy scored 200 points, didn't freaking matter apparently. So, but I got DeVonta Achane top 12 against Indy, Deontay Johnson top 15 against Washington, and Nick Chubb top 10 against Cincy.
Yeah, where is that? Just a balls pick on Nick Chubb because there's certainly nothing behind it.
That is full. Put it out on the table. This is
full Chubb.
Yeah, this is literally. I'm walking into a bar. I'm not even asking a question. I'm saying, "Here's what it is. Yes or no. Do you want to leave?" Like that's what this pick is. So I was gonna go crazy, go like top 5, but here's why I think this.
Top 10 is plenty crazy, my friend. So.
Cincy's run defense is horrible.
Awful.
Horrible. I feel Nick Chubb is built like Adrian Peterson, that he's fine, and he's going to come back no problem. I think we could all come to an agreement of the active running backs over the last 5 years. I would say that's about Nick Chubb's career time, not counting a couple first years. He's the best pure running back in the NFL. If you don't think he's the best, he's top 3 minimum.
I'd say he's 2 behind Henry.
And
Henry
that's fine.
Is just a bowling ball on wheels.
And that's fine. I'll give you Derrick Henry at 1. That's why I say top 3 at minimum. Nick Chubb is one of the best pure running backs of his generation. And you could rope him into best pure running backs with Frank Gore, Adrian Peterson. That is how skilled this guy is. He averages over 5 yards a carry for his fucking career. That's insane. That is insane numbers that he is putting up.
That's Jamal Charles comparison right there.
Absolutely insane. And Jamal Charles, I wouldn't even call like a pure running back.
And that's what I was going to say. Normally the guys where you hear things like that, they're the little shifty guys, not Chubb, who's a bruiser.
Dion Lewis 1 year in his career was 5.5 yards per carry. Dion Lewis is not Nick Chubb. Like, that's just Nick Chubb is completely built different, and I think that's why he
2 Dion Lewis.
2.5, honestly. I like Nick Chubb a lot this week. And quick on Deontay Johnson, since Andy Dalton's been in, outside of one bad week against the Bears, he's had a touchdown every week, and he's put up a lot of points. So
second in the NFL in targets, baby.
I think Deontay Johnson and Terry McLaurin might eat the NFL alive in that game. My entire DFS strategy this week is Deontay Johnson and Terry McLaurin.
My Terry McLaurin heart is finally happy. It's about fucking time.
Yeah, wide receiver 10 right now.
He has the skill. Emilio Mills, that's a great point. JT is also a pure running back. I would agree.
The problem is we've seen one good season from JT. I would just like to see this guy do it again one more time.
Yes, and he's definitely put together something good to start this year, and he does average a lot per carry. If you watch Nick Chubb, it's just insane. Like, it's almost like he's not touched until 5 yards down the field. And yes, that is a product of his offensive line help, but The guy has to find the hole, and he does it every single
That's the
time.
other thing is this season is going to be a big thing for Nick Chubb, and it's the timing of it. You can give him a little leeway, but the Browns' offensive line is not the Browns' offensive line we have grown accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
So if Nick Chubb sucks, it's not just a Nick Chubb problem, but it's a Browns problem, which is a problem
by far. All right. Starting here, I'm just going through the start questions. The first one is, I'm a Patriots fan. What's my favorite Super Bowl win? Remind me, Millie is a Falcons fan, correct? Or is she a Saints
it's gotta
fan?
be. I was going to say it's
okay.
got to be 28.
So, Millie, I don't know why you asked this fucking question, because I feel like you're asking for it. It was 28-3, Super Bowl 51. Thank you very much.
I lived in Atlanta and ran the Chase Bank in Flowery Branch, which is where the Atlanta Falcons headquarters is. So to say that Tom Brady and the New England Patriots destroyed an entire area's hearts is an understatement. I never, like, Chase Bank is a very uptight bank. We got to wear Falcons shit to work for a week. Like, it was crazy. And like, we saw Falcons players, not that week, but like the week before that, because obviously that week they're prepping for the game and they're not in Flowery Branch. But I don't think we saw one after the game. I think they all just left the area, went back to their hometowns. Like, it was deflating. So.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
And
didn't even mean to do that.
I know. Let me I left the bar after Gostkowski missed the extra point. I said, I'm going back home. I'm sitting right in my spot. And that was the greatest 17 minutes and 9 seconds of regulation football that I've ever watched in my entire life. Oh, the beginning of the Kyle Shanahan meltdowns.
Yes.
Thank you, Tom Brady. We love you for that. Caesar got offered Kincaid for Hawkinson in Dynasty. Gentlemen, thoughts?
I'm always going to side with the younger players.
Yep.
That's just me.
So the only thing I'll say is, I think if you're contending this year, keep Hawkinson. If you're middle of the road or you don't feel you're going to win a championship, Kincaid, because I think Hawkinson is going to be good this year and is going to help you win more than Kincaid.
Yeah, this is the classic trade of, like, you're going to stay with that elite tight end, but you're in different cycles of your dynasty team, right? Like, you don't want Hawkinson on a team that is productive struggling, because when he comes back, he's going to put a ton of points on your roster. Kincaid has kind of had a slower start to his career, but there's enough room that you still see the light at the end of the tunnel, that he can be that elite guy. That's the type of tight end that you want to have on those productive struggle rosters.
Yeah, and he says he watches this show, so he's always contending. We love you, Caesar. That's an awesome comment. I'm kind of with you guys on that. I was going to say, because the other thing is, Kincaid has the perpetual value for at least the next 2 to 3 years. We don't know when Hawkinson's value is going to take that dip. We're watching it happen before our very eyes with Mark Andrews. So,
yep.
Joe says if Kyren doesn't go for 3 touchdowns and 200 yards, he's cutting him.
I hope that's a league I'm in. I'll blow the rest of my fab on him, baby.
Yeah, why not? Ronnie, evening defense question. Oh, baby.
Oh,
Chargers,
early in the show.
I think, yeah, like one of the first start sit question comes from a defense. Let's go. We'll start there. Chargers or Rams, Ryan?
I'm trying to pull my rankings up. I think I have the Chargers ahead. The Rams defense has not been very good this year.
It's a bad defense with a good matchup.
Well, and that's so Joe, that was actually the first thing I brought up when I was doing research for our waiver show. This entire week is good defenses playing good offenses or bad defenses playing bad offenses. Like, the Packers are the 3rd ranked defense, but they have like Houston this week. So like, you just don't love the matchups on either side of the ball. That said, the Chargers aren't bad. I think they're averaging 8 fantasy points in like basic defensive scoring. I have them ranked as a top 10 defense. I'm going to go Chargers.
Josh?
Yeah, I would take the Chargers here too. As witnessed by one of my downsides, I'm very down on Kyler Murray. A lot of that is the Chargers. They've held quarterbacks. They've held running backs. They've played really, really well. I will say, little concerning, their top 2 corners likely to miss this game. They recently put Asante Samuel on IR.
That's fine.
And whoever the other one is, I'm blanking.
Every corner in the NFL sucks, right, Joe?
Christian Fulton, that was the other one. He's the only.
It's not like you're going to the Rams because of their corners.
Yeah, that's fair.
Chargers by a mile, because the Cardinals are 4-19 in their last 23 games in Arizona.
Well, and then you also run the risk that they don't have Marvin Harrison Jr., who suffered a concussion during last week's game.
They could
now
have
you're
Marvin
throwing
Harrison
to a
Jr.
bunch of nobodies, like for a good defense.
Don't you disrespect U.S. Women's National Team trophy husband Michael Wilson like that? Okay.
Look, I like Michael Wilson, but he's not Marvin Harrison Jr. So
yeah, but he's engaged to Sophia Smith. Come on, he's engaged to gold medal. Pretty much, when you think about it like that, a walking gold medal, a walking bucket, as they say in basketball.
Which is why Jonathan Owens is the best defensive player.
Oh my God, Jonathan Owens is better than Lawrence Taylor, if you put it that way. Yeah, C.J. Stroud, Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff. Last part of that question, Ryan.
I'm not benching C.J. Stroud in any circumstance. I don't care what team he's playing. Goff and Cousins' numbers have not been anywhere near what Stroud's have been. Like, they've had games here and there. Stroud's is consistent. You're getting 2 touchdowns out of Stroud. Don't be like our guy in Hoove and bet Stroud under 1.5 touchdowns. It's CJ Stroud.
He bet under 1.5 against the Patriots?
Against the Patriots.
Is he on crack? What the hell is he doing?
I feel bad because, as I mentioned to Josh, I didn't want to call him out in the league chat because I feel like, or in the show chat, because I always feel like I give him shit in the show chat. But now I'm just continually doing it publicly.
That was Joel said the Patriots have a chance to win the game on Saturday. I'm like, Joel, I don't know what Patriots.
I mean, they were at least competitive in the second half. I'll give them that. But
yeah, Drake May was a walking turnover, and that's fine. It's his first real game, but he was a walking turnover. Shout out Will Anderson and the Houston Texans defense for making me look like a fucking genius. But yeah, Hoove, RIP to you, my friend. From Swim, would you trade Amari Cooper for Devon Achane? Ooh, interesting. 2 underperforming guys, but one goes to a new offense. One has a really good matchup this week. Josh, you have yes, immediately, yes?
You go get the running back.
I've taught him well, folks. Go get the running back. That's Ryan's saying for all of fantasy football.
Is this this the one where I disagree? I normally say go get the running back, but Amari Cooper with Josh Allen?
It's going to be interesting.
Sign me up for I would keep Amari
Look,
Cooper.
I'm not saying that Amari Cooper is going to be bad going to Buffalo. I love the fit. And I thought it was absolutely hilarious in the press conference when Sean McDermott was talking about how great of a separator Amari Cooper is. And I was like, oh, now you want to value the fact that somebody can separate when you traded one away and then spent a high second-round pick on somebody who notoriously cannot separate? That's what you wanted in a trade? Come on, dude. Get with it.
I said
you need wide receivers that can fucking separate.
My favorite thing was after week 2 when someone asked Josh Allen about not having a wide receiver 1, and he was just talking about how great it was that everybody was playing for the team and not for themselves and this, that, and the other. And then they're like, okay, maybe we need a wide receiver 1. Yeah.
6 weeks.
So don't you guys feel like you can get more from Amari Cooper with the hype right now?
I mean,
really?
But I doubt
leads
it.
the NFL in drops. The
shit.
perception around Amari Cooper is awful right now.
That's fine. All right.
He got traded in one league that I commissioned straight up for George Pickens, and it was literally right after the trade.
Swim. I'm keeping Amari Cooper. I'm also don't like Devon Achane.
Yeah, I was gonna say I might be the only one on the show who likes Devon Achane.
Yeah, I'm not a Devon Achane guy.
And Josh even said go get the running back.
Yeah, I'm not a Devon Achane guy, so I will preface that. And going back to the Falcons Patriots Super Bowl.
This was not on my bingo card for tonight that we were just going to pour misery on 4 years ago, Super Bowl, 5 years.
People were shredding their Falcons merchandise walking out the door. That's incredible. Joe says he picks up the Commanders defense and is starting them. I picked them up last week in preparation for this week. So I like them this week.
Get ahead of it.
That's
if
what
you
I'm
have
doing.
the roster spot, that's a great way to stream defense.
That's exactly what I'm doing. I have the roster spot. I'm looking ahead. So yes, I like the Commanders defense this week. Sebastian, Chase and Diggs for Saquon and Deontay Johnson. Which side would you rather have? It's a full PPR. Josh. Why am I asking you this? You're obviously on the Saquon and Deontay Johnson
Except
side.
I'm not. Jamar
Really?
Chase is the best player in the trade. That's who I want. Plain and simple.
Okay.
I
Ryan?
don't think Chase is a good enough piece for me to not take Saquon Barkley. I'm going to build my running back room. Deontay Johnson looks great. I'll take Saquon and Deontay.
I will take Saquon and
Deontay's still not scoring anywhere close to what Chase is scoring right now.
That's
For
fine.
as much as the target share is there, he doesn't have the spikes that Jamar Chase has.
And that's what really threw me off when I was.
If you want consistency, I'm all about it. I love Deontay Johnson, but there's not a given week where he's going to give you 30 fantasy points.
What really threw me off when I was updating my projections this week is Jamar Chase target share. I guess I didn't look at the team target share, but he's at 42 targets through 6 weeks. That's not the elite target share we expected out of him, but I'm not trying to take anything away. He also, I think, leads the NFL in receiving yards and is tied for the lead in touchdowns right now for receivers. So.
I like the Saquon Deontay side.
I like running backs.
From Ivan, Ayuk or Jacoby for flex? Ryan.
Or there's got to be somebody else out there. If I don't like either one of these guys. If I had to pick one with Jacoby banged, I would go Brandon Ayuk and pray to whatever deity you believe in most.
I'm kind of on the same wavelength. As I mentioned when I was talking about Bowers, the Rams do tend to play wide receiver ones fairly well. And as good as Jacoby is, he's definitely not a traditional wide receiver one, but he's going to be thrust into that role. So that's ultimately going to open up things a lot more for Brock Bowers. Ayuk has just struggled straight up, plain and simple. And there's no two ways about that. So I'm going to be very curious to see how Spagnuolo flips the defense. Like, does he want to take Debo away? Does he want to try to take George Kittle away? Because I feel like Brandon Ayuk is going to have every single opportunity to do well in this game. And Kansas City defense is just going to dare him to finally step up and be the wide receiver one that he was paid to be. I think just from that perspective, I would lean Ayuk, but I don't love it at all.
I'd lean Ayuk. They got to use him at some point.
Yeah.
Gotta
It
use him
feels
at some
so
point.
dirty considering how terrible he's been this year, but
Got to use him at some point. Why not be San Francisco against Kansas City?
I will say one thing work in Ayuk's favor. If Jordan Mason does not play this game, they are likely going to run a different game plan than what we used to see from San Francisco, because you can't just Isaac Orendo is not plug and play and Patrick Taylor is not Christian McCaffrey. They're going to likely have to do something different if they're going into this game with their fourth and fifth string running backs.
What I'm a fan of in that game is that Tony Romo won't be on the call. It'll most likely be Brady and Kevin Burkhardt, so nobody will be giving a live on-air blowjob to Patrick Mahomes.
And Brady
microphone.
isn't allowed to say anything negative about anybody anymore, though, so I don't know about that. It may be all blowjobs from Tom Brady.
No. Here's the Tony Romo chokes on his microphone talking about Patrick Mahomes. Chris Collinsworth, it's painful for him, but I think Tom Brady can at least be reasonable in not slobber knock him. That's all I'm saying. Because I think Brady knows that Patrick Mahomes might be on his tail, trying to catch up to greatest of all time by the end of his career. So Tom Brady can't hype him up too much.
I like it.
Scott Fishbowl, what is this fucking question? Snoop Huntley or David Njoku?
in the super flex spot. There you go.
Sure. Gentlemen.
I'm taking Njoku with the tight end premium. That's what I'm doing. Yep. Snoop Huntley has done nothing to make me feel comfortable that he can be a viable starting quarterback in even super flex leagues. Give me Njoku, especially with the target share that has gone his way and will now flutter his way now that Amari Cooper's out of town. So,
yeah, I'm not starting Snoop Huntley. That's the other thing is if Skylar Thompson is able to play, I don't even know that Snoop Huntley plays the entire game. Like I don't know that they know what they want to do at quarterback right now.
I would, David Njoku, sure.
Go find a kick returner. They're out there still. Jaquan Jackson from Tennessee.
Anybody. Literally anybody. RNGJ. Down really bad. Has 2 running backs injured. Jonathan Brooks, Travis Etienne. 2 running backs in a bye. Dowdle and Swift. That would be down bad. Looking to drop Dowdle for a waiver running back, but can't decide. We should take the 0 in the other spot or drop Brooks/Etienne. Thoughts?
if you're dropping any of them, it's Dowdle. Don't
Well,
take
no,
a
he's
zero.
saying,
So
does he drop
he's-
Dowdle and to get 2 running backs? The answer is no. My guess is you probably have a wide receiver that you're coveting a little bit too much. Look at your worst wide receiver and ask yourself, can I not go find this guy on waivers right now? You probably can.
Also ask yourself, is anybody in my league rushing to pick up this guy on waivers?
Yep.
That's
And then if you're going to take a zero from a kicker. Go get a running
I was
back.
going to say, I
Zero
dropped
kicker.
Jordan Whittington in a couple leagues. Not because I wanted to, but he's kind of at the end of the roster. Cooper Kupp's coming back. He's not going to be near involved. Like, I love Jordan Whittington, but he's not going to give me the type of production that he did right before the bye week. So
Take the zero at
take
kicker.
the L and go get the running back. Yeah.
Or who's your tight end? Can you cut your tight end because tight ends have been trash? Take a spot where if you got a zero there, you'd be like, that sucks, but it didn't ruin my day. Also, I guess who's the running backs on waivers? Because maybe you are just going to take that zero.
take the zero in the tight end spot. The kicker has a better chance of outscoring your
That's
tight
true.
end.
As Joe has, this was the first week where Joe hasn't pointed out that tight ends are better.
Oh, yeah. So the
kickers are better than tight ends.
the tight end 3 and 4 are kickers. So yeah.
That's a fair point. Take the zero at tight end if you can.
Owen, trade CD, Chase Brown, Rico Dowdle for DeVonta Adams, Zay Flowers, J.K. Dobbins, Ryan.
No, CD Lamb to me is pretty clearly the best player in this trade. Yeah, I'm not going to move off of CD for those guys. I'm not a huge DeVonta guy. Zay Flowers is inconsistent, and J.K. Dobbins hasn't looked good for the last 2 weeks. I think Chase Brown might be a spark plug that you don't even realize you're moving on from. So I would hold on to CD and Chase Brown and then drop Dowdle. Go get somebody else.
Yeah, Zay Flowers is basically Deontay Johnson. So
That's fair.
I mean, he's good. He's steady. He's not elite by any means. CD Lamb is elite. The target share is there. The production, he will have spikes that probably none of these guys will. Dobbins, he's going to fall off a cliff here quickly. I can feel it. Dowdle is basically a zero. So Chase Brown I like, but he still hasn't usurped that role yet. So he's still just a timepiece share. You keep the best player at CD Lamb. I think people are just getting too hyped with Devontae Adams, truthfully.
CD and Chase Brown over Devontae and Zay Flowers for me. The other two are washes at that point.
Yeah.
Steven, Superflex half-point PPR redraft. Kamara, Achane, B-Rob, Pollard, Tyrone Tracy. Receivers are Chase, DJ Moore, Mooney, Leggett, and Ladd on the bench. Trade one of the running backs for a receiver. If so, who? Reminder, the running backs sit Kamara, Achane, Brian Robinson, Tony Pollard, Tyrone Tracy.
I'm open to move Achane. I'm open to move
Sure.
Tracy. I'm not moving anybody else. I don't know if wide receiver is your problem.
It's top heavy.
Yeah, as I say, I guess it depends on who you can get. But you could shop the name recognition of Achane.
That's what I would do.
Apparently, you could get Amari Cooper, and some people on this show think that's a good trade.
Go get Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could
Wouldn't-
package. See if you could package like Ladd McConkey with one of them. I mean, the target share that Ladd McConkey's getting, some people are going to buy into that, but it's a low volume passing offense. He's a wide receiver 3 at best.
You want to wait a week? I think Leggett eats this week against Washington, and this is probably the
There you
week
go.
that Leggett after this.
Yeah,
week.
you could definitely do that. Again,
If he-
we've talked about this really the last 2 morning shows, Ryan. Tyrone Tracy, as much as we love him, it's very much unknown with Devin Singletary coming back how much his role is going to be altered off of those great performances. Is it going to usurp the role altogether and Singletary becomes the complimentary back? Or are they forced now to kind of like work Tracy more into the rotation because he's proven that he can handle and, be a quality running back? Or does Singletary just come back to taking the 80% running back share that he was having before he got hurt? So there's just a lot of unknowns with Tracy. So I think if you can sell high on him, you definitely want to, because you don't want to get stuck holding that bag otherwise. But yeah, I mean, feel free to, try to package like a Leggett or McConkey. And I just, like I said, I don't know right now if they really hold that value, but like Ryan said, against Washington, Leggett could have a really good game, and that changes things.
If you were in Cleveland, wouldn't you want to drop the football to get out of that fucking situation? That's all I'm saying.
So that's actually a rumor that's being floated around as well, is that his bad play may not have been genuine.
We have seen good players have off seasons to start the year.
I feel like it happens more in the NBA than anything.
But we've seen it before in the NFL. They have bad. They start bad. They get traded. The team. It's
harder for 30-year-old wide receivers to bounce back. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, he did it at 29 when Joe Flacco came into the lineup.
I think the other issue is there are so few trades in the NFL that you can't really bank that you're playing your way out of town. Whereas in the NBA, they just trade everybody immediately.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think if he can bounce back and have a top-tier season with Joe Flacco the second half of the year, I think he can do that with Josh Allen.
His numbers were trending literally the same with Deshaun Watson versus Joe Flacco.
Okay, and Deshaun Watson is just bad, and he didn't want to be in that situation.
I agree.
I'm just
Nobody
saying.
should want to. Except Jerry Jeudy, he openly signed a contract extension.
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy was just happy that somebody was willing to give him money.
Someone wanted him.
That's fair.
Elixir's trying to consolidate his roster because so few bench spots and Brooks coming off IR are going to have to drop. Any suggestions on 2-to-1 trades I can make with my roster? This is a standard. Hurts, Jamar Chase, Ayuk, Malik Neighbors, Tank Dell, Jerry Jeudy. That guy. Kyren Williams, Kareem Hunt, B-Rob, Jerome Ford, Jonathan Brooks. Dalton Kincaid says, for once in my life, I have a positive record on the season. First place is 4-2, and sixth place is 4-2.
Only took 3 years of listening to us to get there. I love it. That's slow burn, baby.
Hey, Elixirs, I think your bad luck got passed on to me, buddy. I'm not having that great of a year.
I think your best move here, and I think this would work. Ayuk and Kincaid go get Brock Bowers. That'd be the trade I'd make to make that to consolidate that roster spot.
Dude, if you had Bowers, would you give up Bowers for that?
No, but stupid people will.
I was just gonna say I'm not
stupid. People do a lot of stupid things. That's why they're stupid people.
Yeah, like sign a contract extension with the Cleveland Browns.
Otherwise, so I would take out Ayuk and Kincaid and go after Bowers, maybe even Trey McBride, and then my next move would be Ayuk and Jeudy for whatever upgrade at wide receiver you can find. But Ayuk and Jeudy are your kind of movable pieces there. Start with Jeudy and Kincaid's a little insulting to upgrade your tight end. So start with Ayuk and Jeudy there.
Jeudy and Jerome Ford for any living organism.
Yeah, I missed Jerome Ford there. There's that as well. Jerome Ford is cooked.
I was going to say Jerome Ford might be somebody that you could just outright drop.
You might be able to drop and fix your roster problems that way.
Or just flip Ford and Brooks when he comes off.
Maybe take Ford.
Could be out a while.
I say you may also want to shop Ford to the Nick Chubb manager. It might be something they're interested in, looking at him as a handcuff. But we all know that Ford's already dealing with his own injuries and is unlikely to be a handcuff until like week 13. And by then,
the Browns also try to sell high on Tank Dell and get out of that. I mean, he's really only going to be viable for 3 more weeks once Nico comes back.
That's actually a good point. Your biggest concern might be wide receiver. So while I want you to upgrade tight end, it might be better to go Ayuk, Jeudy, Ayuk, Ford, and upgrade at wide receiver. Or as Josh pointed out, Ayuk, Dell, and swing for the fences. People are down on Amon-Ra right now. Maybe go attack that manager and see what you can do.
Ayuk and Jeudy for Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
Say Flowers. Like those would be guys that I would happily target. Give you a level of consistency. Give you a level of consistency in between Chase and Neighbors.
Terry McLaurin, you're kind of testing the waters there to see if if perception is completely changed, because perception was down on McLaurin. So.
Jeudy and Jerome Ford for Austin Seibert, the kicker from the Washington Commanders.
Best kicker in fantasy.
He is the kicker 3 in fantasy football, and he didn't even play week 1. So. Jeudy and Kincaid for Brandon Aubrey.
He's on bye. He's viable right now.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You could just outright drop Jerome Ford.
Jerome Ford is a drop, so don't fret if you can't get a trade done. Do not freak out about dropping Jerome Ford.
Yeah. What do we think about Ayuk rest of the season? Top 24 is a stretch, Steven. He needs.
I think that's where he finishes.
Yeah, I think when you look at the 49ers roster, there's a good chance he'll be one of their 24 best players. Fantasy, however.
I was about to say, like, are we sure?
Oh my God, that was terrible.
He's wide receiver. Terrible. He's wide receiver 43 right now.
When you look at the top wide receivers, everybody is so good. I don't know where he's like. Okay, Allen Lazard's gonna fall out.
Yep.
Juwan Jennings is going to fall out. That's 2.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Darnell Mooney, if I'm being generous. Wan'Dale Robinson for sure. Rashid Shaheed is done for the season. We've just cut 4 guys, so he has to jump 19 to get ahead of 4. No, I don't think he's a top 24 wide receiver.
You're then looking at Alec Pierce.
I think that's probably where he finishes, between 24 and probably 28, truthfully.
Yeah. He will not finish inside he will not finish at 24 inside. He won't finish inside the top 25. He has to jump. Alec Pierce, fine, but he has those pop weeks. Jalen Tolbert is now the wide receiver 2 in a pass-happy offense.
He'll drop Tolbert.
Yeah, Tolbert will fall.
Rashee Rice.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's gone. Tyreek Hill, but Tua's coming back.
I say Tyreek, T. Higgins started down. Josh Downs started down. They're like, could he move up? We're all loving on Amari Cooper right now. He's going to move up.
I mean, well, you want to guys that started down and that could have a bigger role. Xavier Worthy is tied with Brandon Ayuk right now in terms of total points. Khalil Shakir's value probably drops now with Amari Cooper there. But Demario Douglas looked like Demario Douglas last year in his rookie year with Drake May in at quarterback. So that can be something. If the Chargers decide to pass a little more, Ladd McConkey.
Yeah. I am not sold that he's a top 24 wide receiver in fantasy.
No. Nico Collins out for this amount of time. Tank Dell is 10 points behind Brandon Ayuk right now.
But Dell will fall.
He will, but Tank Dell could pop in these next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And he could easily be higher than him. I don't think Brandon Ayuk finishes anywhere near the top 24. Scampers, half PPR, sit 1. Kirky, Juju, Dobes.
You are not fucking sitting Juju Smith-Schuster, my guy.
It is painful for me to say, but yeah, you are not sitting Juju Smith-Schuster.
What did Kirk do last week?
That's the thing. I really want to say Christian Kirk here, but Romeo Doubs scored 2 touchdowns last week. He's going to have 3 fantasy points this week.
Yeah, I think it's Dobbs.
That's how this wide receiver room works. So
yeah,
I think it's Dobbs.
I don't know. That's one of my favorite game environments on the week, though. So I'll sit Kirk, but I understand the argument for Dobbs.
I would sit Dobbs.
Yeah.
To the reason
my heart says Dobbs, but
here's the thing.
Kirk. He just hasn't done anything.
Why does it feel like Christian Kirk is now 4th on the team in terms of who Lawrence is looking at?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but
I will say,
Evan Ingram is their wide receiver 1. Let's be clear.
If the hamstring suddenly got worse after catching 10 footballs and Evan Ingram misses, then I'm playing Christian Kirk.
I'll give you
default.
But I'll give you that.
This is a Dobbs
right now. Those
letdown.
top 2 targets are, Gabe Davis had the 2 touchdowns. We know he's going to fall back, but yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. is going to draw obviously a lot of Christian Gonzalez. So maybe they look Christian Kirk's way because
that's true.
Well, here's the thing. I said the same thing about Stephon Diggs last week, and yes, Diggs is much better than Brian Thomas Jr., but Gonzalez covered Tyreek Hill well. Gonzalez has covered multiple guys well this year.
That's what I'm saying. Gonzalez has the speed to keep up with Brian Thomas Jr.
He does, but that's the thing that scares me about Christian Gonzalez. He's such a coin flip. So I'll take the coin flip there if I'm playing him in a matchup. I don't like the coin flip of my guy in an offense where Bo Melton could outscore Romeo Dobbs.
Yeah,
so fair. I don't love that.
I would also like to know if Wicks is out as well. Like if Wicks is out, that's a little bit better for Dobbs.
It's not going to matter because he's firmly behind Christian Watson.
I know, but what I'm getting at is when they can just keep cycling guys in and out, you never know where the touchdown's going to go to.
All right. Down sides. 50 minutes in. Let's roll, people. If you still got questions, drop them in. Josh, no Colts wide receiver finishes in the top 24 against Miami.
I approve.
David Montgomery does not score a touchdown against Minnesota.
I disapprove.
And Kyler Murray is outside the top 18 against the Chargers. I have beaten them over the head, the Arizona Cardinals at home, but if you would like to continue to do so, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, Kyler hasn't really looked great. There's a possibility he doesn't have Marvin Harrison Jr. this week. The Chargers have allowed the 6th fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks. It's literally 1 touchdown, 1 interception per game. They're allowing only 209 passing yards per game. Outside of like the one big 50-yard run, Kyler really hasn't done that much with his legs, it feels like, or at least as much as we want him to as fantasy managers. I mentioned earlier the Chargers are down their top 2 corners, but it may not matter without Marvin Harrison because that wide receiver room that the Cardinals have isn't really all that great outside of that. They don't have one person that can really draw all that coverage. But more to the point, the Chargers defense allows the fewest points per game in the NFL, period, point blank. They don't even allow 14 points per game. So that's basically 1 touchdown right there. That's it. So if that's all they're giving up, Kyler's not going to have a good game unless he runs for 80 yards. And we haven't seen that yet this year, and I don't think it's going to happen this week.
I don't like it at all. I have Kyler Murray in fantasy, and I just simply don't feel good about it. In 2 of their 3 games this year, Arizona scored 14 or less points at home. The only time they scored more was against the Rams in week 2, and that was 41. They have not looked good.
I think they scored, 28 in week 2?
41 in week 2.
No, then it was week 1.
28, but that was in Buffalo.
Yeah.
I'm talking about just at home. They have been a better team on the road than they have been at home.
Agreed.
Yeah. So I do not like them at all this week. I have Kyler Murray, and I do not like it. I picked up Drake May, highly contemplating starting Drake May over Kyler Murray, and I don't like that. So it's not pretty. I don't like Kyler Murray this week at all. Ryan, Aaron Rodgers not top 20 against Pittsburgh. You damn right he's not.
I just think there's going to be a lot of hype around Rodgers. I want to pour a little water on it. So.
Fuck this guy. Dalton Kincaid, not top 15 against Tennessee. In the no touchdown special, this feels mean. Spencer Rattler.
Truthfully.
Yeah. Spencer Rattler rushing or passing against the Broncos. Let the man have his moment.
Nothing. 0.
I mean, yeah, let's not talk about that. Let's go to the Aaron Rodgers one because yes, the hype is absurd.
Yeah, I think we're just forgetting who Aaron Rodgers is. So when you look, Pittsburgh is still tough against quarterbacks. They're allowing the 5th fewest fantasy points, and they actually rank top 10 in quarterback hits. And I think that's important. Aaron Rodgers does not like to be hit, and his ass cannot move. Last 2 weeks, since that ankle injury, 0 rushing yards. He's literally a statue right now. And obviously, things are going to get a little bit better with DeVonta Adams, but Pittsburgh is a defense that can get after him. The best week against Pittsburgh was Dak. He went for 352 and 2, but he also threw 2 interceptions in that game, and he was the QB 13 that week. Rodgers' best week to this point has been the QB 10. Obviously, I'm going much lower than that at QB 20, but I just think the hype is there. But when you look at what he's done this season, it's very unwarranted. His stats this past week were saved by one of his fucking Hail Marys, which you cannot count on that every week. He is the QB 20 in fantasy football right now, has 9 touchdowns over 6 games. He's not doing anything special. And again, the most important thing is he's facing TJ Watt and he's a statue. Aaron Rodgers might not finish this game. We might be talking about the Tyrod Taylor to DeVonta Adams connection by the time this thing's all said.
That would suck.
Yeah.
Be
fucking poetic, wouldn't it?
Go get my guy. Oh, damn it, I can't finish the season.
As a TJ Watt fantasy manager, I am very excited for this week.
Yeah. The thing that struck me was the rushing. So it's funny, I bet the under on Aaron Rodgers. It was 3.5 rushing yards. I said, this kid, he's not going to run the football. And I won a little money on that. I saw other people who are supposed to be better at this than me saying, take the over. It's way too low. And I'm like, you don't remember that he is a 40-year-old man who lives on a hurt ankle and then hurt his ankle.
It is elder abuse. I mean,
it is.
40 years old. Put the man in the fucking retirement home at this point. He's oh God, I love when bad things happen to Aaron Rodgers. It's just
What's
so much
funny
fun.
is like I hate him so much, and I'm glad we're amongst friends who all just hate this man.
Hold on, does anybody like him?
I'm certain there are people out there. Pat McAfee apparently does, but that's the show.
Pat McAfee likes him for the ratings. That's it.
The moment of DeVonta Adams popping out from behind him should have been so fun and so endearing. I wanted to fucking shoot myself. I was like, this is disgusting. I don't care. Fuck you, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, this is the most Aaron Rodgers move.
That's like if it were anybody else. First of all, for anyone else, the receiver would have come up, hugged him. Aaron Rodgers, it was like this most subdued, weird, like.
I don't.
like
I also
What he
now
really
don't-
should have done, they should have staged it to where Garrett Wilson comes out when everybody's expecting Devontae Adams, and then Devontae Adams comes out, and the two wide receivers kind of like show like, hey, we're in this
fight
together,
to
and
the
we're gonna
death.
like, you know, yeah. So, but no,
Aaron Rodgers barely knows Garrett Wilson's name.
Yeah. He'd be like, here's my
He just
buddy
knows his
Jerry
jersey number.
Wilson.
Literally, like Gary from Parks and Rec. His name changes every fucking episode.
I'm telling you, I can't wait for 3 weeks when Garrett Wilson's demanding a trade. It's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, the trade deadline. Maybe he wants to go play with
Please.
Justin Fields in Pittsburgh. He wants to be reunited with his college quarterback.
Maybe that's what we need to unlock Justin Fields.
That's all. It's what he's been waiting on. Get him Olave and Garrett Wilson. That boy is gonna cook.
Look out. Send him to New Orleans, baby. Send him to the Big Easy. All right. My downsides. I had the best week last week on the downsides. Let's go, baby.
Good.
I'm pretty good at predicting demise. That's what I pride myself on.
It's also what this show is best at. We are
Oh,
great
yeah.
at telling you how bad people are.
Yeah. DeVonta Smith outside the top 24 against the Giants. Mark Andrews outside the top 12 against Tampa. Sorry, guys. Antoine Winfield's playing. I can't. The hype's there.
Yeah.
And this is simply because I've seen him at the top of every waiver wire, and ESPN's projecting him for like 13 points. Dearness Johnson outside the top 30 against the Patriots. Stop.
Yeah. He is shooting up rankings.
Stop. I did the same thing when Dearness Johnson was the number 1 RB in Cleveland, and he had 3 fucking points that week.
So you killed him that week.
Yes. Tank Bigsby is still alive in playing football, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Tank
with a
Bigsby's
fumbling
going to have
problem,
150
apparently.
and 2 touchdowns. Tank Bigsby is Joe Mixon, okay? That's what's going to happen this week. Tank Bigsby's going to have a Joe Mixon week.
Whoa.
Dearness Johnson is going to have what Cam Akers has had his entire fucking career. Don't do that. I do want to preface for DeVonta Smith. The Giants secondary looks good. Plain and simple, they have looked good. If you can hold Jamar Chase and T. Higgins in that offense that was humming, the offense with the 4th most points scored in the NFL, to an offense that, I mean, Josh, you said it earlier.
They're struggling right now. They're not looking good.
You could argue in terms of production and how they look to the eye, bottom 10 offense in the NFL. It's towards the top of that bottom 10, but they're down there in terms of offense in the NFL. And
There's
the
also
Giants have been humming.
Other than the Jalen Hurts running game, you probably are preparing for the Eagles pretty similarly to how you had to prepare for the Bengals as well, because
2
you
weapons.
got 2 weapons that you have to cover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's and I mean they know each other.
And let's be real. This is going to be a 30-touch game for Saquon Barkley.
Oh, yeah.
And like 5
Revenge
deep
game.
balls to AJ Brown. That's what this game's going to be.
So Saquon Barkley was typed in as my 2 touchdown special, but I love Kyren Williams so much. I was like, I want to win.
No, it was
this.
a smart move, honestly.
Yeah.
But I will say, every game that Saquon has scored a touchdown, it's been multiple touchdowns. So
Exactly.
there's that.
So when he
Good
scores
job.
his first, I can just put one right through there. Though.
Yeah.
Another week where I was 1 player away from having it. So.
It is. I didn't even factor in the Saquon full-on revenge game in New York.
Oh, and I don't care what anybody's take is on revenge games. This is a fucking revenge game.
Listen,
Yeah.
I've said revenge games are gone since
You have
Deshaun
pulled
Jackson
on revenge games.
and Steve Smith have left the league. This one's okay. Saquon, this one's fine. I'll give you the stamp on this one. This one's okay. And DJ Moore, because Steve Smith gave DJ Moore the stamp of approval.
Got that Steve Smith heart.
Yes, yeah. If you have the Steve Smith stamp of approval, you have the revenge game in you.
Yeah.
And I feel Saquon would have the Steve Smith stamp of approval.
I agree.
Kaikoa Truong, I believe. Should I accept this trade? Give Kelsey, get Kincaid and Pollard. I'm going to go to my resident Travis Kelsey lover. How do we feel, Mr. Weisse?
Pollard is so good this year. It's ridiculous. And
You know he's only RB 19 on the season, right?
I thought it was way higher than that.
Do you know that
I was
Travis?
looking at fantasy points, and I was like, wait, what? I thought he was
Do you know
higher
that
than
Travis
too, but-
Kelsey and Dalton Kincaid have scored the same amount of fantasy points this year?
So
Yeah,
you're getting
RB 19.
19 for free.
Yes. You're getting RB19. Every week he's had over 15 points except for one, and then his bye week.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
he's a very steady RB2. I'm not debating that aspect at all.
And then you look at Kelsey. Kelsey's been kind of carried by one game, his most recent game. Kincaid has been carried by one. I'm taking the running back. I'm not going to go against what I've been saying this entire show.
Easy.
I'm taking the running back.
I'm going to take the Kelsey side, and here's exactly why.
Well, you're wrong.
The first game without Rashee Rice, he looked like a tight end one. That's what you want from Kelsey. You're basically going from a set it and forget it tight end rest of season to playing the streaming game and then like an RB2. Now, again, I don't know what your running back room looks like, but if it's, I don't know, JT is your one and a bunch of backups, then I probably make this trade. But I'm sticking with the presumed elite tight end because Kincaid has shown literally nothing to make me feel that I can rely on him week to week.
It's fair, for sure.
Pollard.
Again, I feel like you're getting, in my eyes, he's a top 12 running back, but in fantasy, he's a top 20 running back, and you're getting him for free right
now. Dalton Kincaid was top 10 last week. Week 5, he has a down week, sure. Dalton Kincaid has been sitting there top 12 every single week at the tight end position. And if you're taking out guys that nobody played, Blake Whiteheart, A.J. Barner, Cade Otton, he's top 8. So you're fine. You are totally fine. I get it. He's the tight end one now. He's the number one target. They can get him more involved. No, he's old. Someone is going to realize they need to fucking double team him like they have been. Go get Tony Pollard. 100% go get Tony Pollard. Craig. I have Deontay Johnson, from Carolina. Now questionable. I could put DK Metcalf. Is that a better option? No.
So they're both good options, but Deontay Johnson's been questionable for the last 3 weeks running. He's going to play and he is going to feast. I would start Deontay.
Yeah, don't overreact to questionable tags on Wednesdays. We've talked about this on the show plenty of times. A lot of your veterans end up taking these rest days on Wednesdays. You overreact to questionable tags on Fridays. Plain and simple.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Or when they pop up on Thursday just to ruin everything.
Or that, yeah. Or that.
Or if Kyle Shanahan has a questionable tag on
then
one of his superstars.
You don't trust anything in
then roster. you just don't draft him 101, obviously. I don't, as a guy who's had DK Metcalf on his team, I can't trust him putting him in my lineup. I think Deontay Johnson is a much safer.
Here's the thing, though. DK is still a top 15 wide receiver for me this week. Who are you starting over both of these guys? I'm guessing you maybe have one of the elite guys, but maybe find a way to get them both.
You should be starting both of them. That's straight up, because one of them gives you the solid consistency because of the target volume. But I brought this up on Monday. DK's target volume is top 6 in the NFL right now, and he's the wide receiver 1 and the most pass-happy offense in the NFL. He's always had drops. He's always had a 55 to 60% catch percentage. But he will end up scoring more touchdowns this year than Deontay Johnson, straight up.
I don't think anybody's debating that.
Well, that's why you have to start DK, because if any of these two wide receivers are going to put up 30 points in a game, it's DK. It's not Deontay. And that's speaking as the number 1 Deontay Johnson stan. Like
DK is just going to drop a 7 spot or a 3 spot.
Atlanta's been good against wide receivers, but I also love Geno Smith. Hint, hint.
As a guy who has DK Metcalf and has played him the last 2 weeks in good matchups, I don't want him. I want Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
Ronnie, second defense question, third defense question. I love it. Commanders, Bengals, Chargers. Ryan.
So where I like to start, it's something I'm noticing this season, is the good defenses are playing well regardless of who their opponent is. And while the Chargers are not a great defense, fantasy point wise, they are heads and tails better than the Commanders and Bengals. I'm worried that Commanders game could turn into a shootout. I'm avoiding the Commanders. Like, I know a lot of people are playing them. The Bengals are super interesting, but they have been ass this year.
So bad.
Like, so bad. So I am going to go the Chargers. They feel safer. The Bengals might have more upside, but the Chargers certainly have a safer floor. And I am actually one of the few people I'm avoiding Washington this week.
Josh.
Yeah, I would avoid Washington too. I think Chargers by default. I think there's too many variables with the Bengals and the Commanders. And it's not like with the Bengals, look, the Browns offense sucks.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason,
so
Deshaun
did the
Watson
Patriots offense.
he's played better in the second half of games where he's actually like connecting with passes. Can't find the end zone, but they're at least moving the football a little bit. And if they do end up getting Nick Chubb back, that's only going to make that offense more reliable. And that's the biggest deficiency on the Bengals is they cannot stop the run. So yeah, I'm with you, Ryan, when it comes to the Commanders. That game feels like a sneaky shootout. I think, yeah, Chargers are just safer. They're not really creating turnovers, though, and their sack rates are really low, too. But they're holding teams to, like I said, the fewest points scored. So you'll at least be able to get points based on that, because that's typically how fantasy scoring is with defenses. So I think they're probably much safer to get, the 7-8 points versus a spike of like 20 or something.
And Arizona, for whatever reason, is giving up decent points to defenses. We talked about it. Kyler just doesn't look himself, and he'll turn the ball over. So,
Chargers in standard fantasy scoring, I like Washington because I think they can get to the quarterback and create turnovers. They started off the year
They did just put Jonathan Allen on IR.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't love that, but I still think they can get past that horrendous offensive line that Carolina puts out there.
When I was putting together my top 5 list, the 2 teams that I decided I was willing to take the L on this week, that I think something could happen, the Commanders are one, the Detroit Lions are the other, because I don't know what that matchup is going to entail. Detroit's been a pretty good defense, but now they lose Aiden Hutchinson. Minnesota's put up points, but they've also given up points to fantasy defenses. But I'm willing to take the L on the Commanders and the Lions. I do not have them ranked as highly as others are going to this week.
I like the Commanders to create turnovers and put up sacks. That's why I like them in a lot of the leagues that I have. And I don't think the Chargers do a lot of that, but in traditional fantasy scoring, the Chargers are just going to give you a consistent amount. And you just got to hope Kyler Murray and it wasn't even Kyler so much last week. The rest of the fucking team was just turning the ball over last week against Green Bay. So we'll see. Ryan.
Yes.
Swimming upstream. What do we got?
Yeah, we had another good week last week. So let's see if we can keep it going. We're stacking good weeks. Week 7 streams of the week, all available in about 50% of ESPN leagues. At quarterback, I'm going to take Geno Smith taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Geno is actually the QB7 on the season. He leads the NFL in attempts and yards. He's only thrown 6 touchdowns, but I think he fixes that this week. Atlanta gives up about 16 fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. They've actually allowed 4 multi-touchdown games to the position. I think it works out well. Cade Otton is going to be my tight end taking on the Baltimore Ravens. It was a slow start for Otton, but he is the tight end 9 since week 3. Last week, he had 6 targets and a touchdown. Now he's going to get a good matchup. Baltimore gives up the 5th most points to tight ends, and a tight end has scored at least 9 fantasy points in them in 4 games this season. For defense, the Buffalo Bills taking on the Tennessee Titans. The Bills just barely meet my 50% requirement, but they should not be this available. They are a top 10 defense playing the team that gives up the most fantasy points to fantasy defenses. In fact, Tennessee has allowed the number 1 defense, the best weekly score, twice this season already. I think Buffalo can make it a 3rd time. Those are your week 7 streams of the week. Full article available tomorrow.
Boom. And Underdog.
Like right
picks.
at 59 seconds. Great job, Ryan.
Wow. It's like he practices.
Literally, I practice it. It is the only thing I rehearse in my entire fantasy career. And after I write these down, I start a stopwatch on my phone and I practice it until I get it. So.
What a guy. All right. Underdog props. WOFF promo code when you sign up. Free pick, first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Josh, you want to tell everybody who the fuck Bub Means is?
If you guys would let me talk about Rattler, I was going to list his wide receivers and be like, this is why I hate this dude this week.
Yeah, we Austin and I recorded the Oh Captain My Captain DFS Showdown video early this morning for tomorrow morning's drop. And of course, this was before the news broke that Chris Olave was ruled out, Rashid Shaheed ruled out. Who is the next receiving option for the New Orleans Saints? Well, it's the guy who caught a touchdown last week and went 5 for 45. That would be Bub Means. He is a rookie, so very much this could very easily blow up in my face and probably a lot of other people's faces because he was a hot commodity on waiver wires this week. But the prop is only 33.5. And if you're the wide receiver 1 facing a defense that doesn't have their number 1 corner, I think you should be able to get 34 receiving yards. And just because I said that, he's going to go under. So take it with a grain of salt.
Ryan, you know who the Saints could really use right now? Who could they use, Ryan? Who do you think I'm going to say?
A.T. Perry?
A.T. Perry, who they waived a while back. They could really use some A.T. Perry in their lineup.
I am so glad you said that, Josh. I was trying so hard to fit that joke into one of our 2 shows this week, and I could not get it in. So thank you, Joe, for allowing me to say the Saints could really use a 6'5", 225-pound ex-wide receiver right now.
You know why they cut him? Because they love Bub Means. That's why.
Hey, they both have good names, but Bub Means is a much better name than A.T.
It's a football name for sure.
That's a football name. You know what else is a football name? Not Bo Nix. Bo Nix and Spencer Rattler higher than a half interception. That is 2.29 times your money if you take both.
And I have money on both of it right now. I
love it. I love it.
Yeah, I think they're both easily going to throw a pick. You can go in there. They're 0.81 or 0.86 if you take the under on individuals, but you can essentially triple your money, 2.2x to 9x your money. If you pick them both to throw an interception. You won't be able to combine mine with Joe's because you can only pick on a player one time when you're doing if you're doing a parlay. But I think there's some fun in just picking both of these guys to throw a pick this week.
In mine, because I think Sean Payton is a petty motherfucker and wants to prove that he's right and has a giant ego, Bo Nix might have his first 300-yard passing game in the NFL.
That's fair. Just have him go out there and Drew Brees the shit out of this.
Yes. Javonte Williams, you will have 7 carries.
Yeah.
Jaleel McLaughlin, you won't see the field.
He might have 7 catches as well, though, and if it's going to be a Sean Payton game. So.
I think Sean Payton wants to go out there and prove that he doesn't need Drew Brees to win, that he is his own coach and he's good without Drew Brees, which is wrong. He was barely good with Drew Brees. So I think he wants to show that he found his guy. He got his guy. He didn't need to trade up. He stayed put. He didn't need to go get that guy. Bo Nix was the guy he wanted. He's the guy that he was going to take and make the best quarterback in this draft. He's wrong on all accounts. Every single account that he's wrong that I'm fictitiously saying is in his head. But I think Bo Nix throws for more than 191.5 passing yards because I think he throws at least 55 times in this game.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Why not?
So many reasons.
You want to know? You want to know which
his
one
arm
trumps?
might fall off.
You want to know which one trumps them all? Sean Payton's ego.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's what I see there for Bo Nix. A couple last minute. Chris Bird, start Juju or Sutton as the second flex this week. All in unison. 1, 2, 3.
Juju
Smith-Schuster. Yeah, that's an easy one, Chris. And Joe brings up that Tank Bigsby is a football name. Yes, that's I don't think Tank is his actual name, but
it should be.
But it should be. I think I feel like it's Takarius or something like that.
Okay, I was gonna say, I hope it's not a terrible name.
No, I believe it is short for something that
Cartavius Bigsby.
Ooh.
Yeah, it is short for something where you could pull Tank out of it and be like, okay, fair.
I think I would have stuck with Cartavius. That's a dope ass name.
I mean, Tank is pretty sweet too. Come on now. But I mean, yeah, there's a lot of guys you just look at like, that's a football name. That's a football name. You just know
What's
that.
funny is the two for me that I didn't realize. What is Mac Jones is
McCorkle,
and it never occurred to me that Dak is Dakota.
Dakota
never
Prescott.
occurred. I thought it was Dak. So.
Do you know AJ Green's name?
Oh, I used to. I can't remember it anymore.
Adriel Jeremiah Green. Yeah. You're damn right. That's his fucking name. You're damn fucking right. That's his goddamn name.
Well, my favorite is that T.Y. Hilton, T and Y have nothing to do with what
zero.
His actual name is.
Absolutely zero. That's fine. It's like Y.A. Tittle.
I looked that up and had it in one of our articles a few years ago.
2 of the best Colts of all time. T.Y. Hilton, Y.A. Tittle.
There you go.
If you don't know who Y.A. Tittle is, just go look him up. Little fun little thing. Chris also asks, there any word on Jordan Mason playing? We know he's questionable.
Limited practice today. That is all I saw. So not a full participant in practice. Seems unlikely he's going to play, but you're going to know a lot more after Friday. So don't sweat it. You'll know after Friday, I feel like. So.
Will we?
Yeah, you'll get the reports.
We?
Should.
You can't fuck around and do this twice in a season.
Could you imagine?
Oh, my God.
if
the thing
he's-
working for Jordan Mason in his favor is that they played Thursday, so he
Yes,
has a
he has
few
extra
extra
days.
days to rest up before this week.
Shoulder injuries are also pain management a lot.
And
If
they're
he can
very
grip the
tricky,
ball, he might be fine.
I'm not playing Jordan Mason.
I'm not starting him either.
I have full-on PTSD from Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, well, this is interesting because Chris says that's his other flex. So would we start Sutton over Mason?
Yes.
He has to make that decision tomorrow.
Yes, fine.
I would.
Played
Yes.
safe. Absolutely played safe, dude. Don't risk it.
Learn,
You're gonna run into a
learn
situation.
from James Cook.
Yep. You're gonna run into a situation with James Cook, with CMC, those guys that play later. Just bite the bullet. If Cortland Sutton puts up a dud, so be it.
But
Because you don't want to risk a 0, plain and simple.
give yourself some leeway. Sutton needs to be in your wide receiver spot, and then you take your wide receiver and move him to your
Correct.
flex. That way, if your other wide receiver gets hurt, you can then pop Jordan Mason right back into your lineup. So start Sutton, but start him at wide receiver, not flex.
Yes. So, yeah, take that from me last week, who was like, oh, James Cook is fine. He'll get me points. I lost by 3.
Yep.
And I would have put Terry McLaurin in that spot for James Cook.
That hurts.
Well, hey, to commiserate, Joe, my don't start questionable players, Joe Mixon was on 5 of my benches last week. So
Well, hey, so look, in the one league, I had Ramondre Stevenson. My dumbass forgot to take him out of my lineup because I was doing too much. The good news is I wouldn't have played Mixon. I would have played Austin Eckler, and I still would have lost. So I can live with that it didn't matter at the end of the day because we talked about it. We weren't starting Joe Mixon. We weren't really sure what he was going to look like coming off injury. So I could live with Austin Eckler still losing by 8 points if he was in my lineup. That's fine. If I was going to start Joe Mixon, I'd be kicking myself. So, yeah. Please take guys out of your lineup that are questionable, especially with that time frame. Just don't even worry about it. All right. So, Josh, Ryan, myself, his 2 wide receivers are Godwin and Amon-Ra.
until they pop up on the injury report on Saturday, I'm just saying be safe. I'm not saying you're playing Mason, but do what I described. Give yourself the leeway. You never know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So, all right, beautiful. Josh, Ryan, myself. Yes, this is a Bucky's onesie. You can follow Club Fantasy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL, clubfantasyffl.com. Always remember, defense wins championships. Offense wins fantasy football. We will see you next week.